Are you 55 or older without a written retirement plan? Today's show is for you. We'll discuss why your 401k is not your retirement plan, the key parts of a true written retirement plan, and the peace of mind that comes with seeing your financial future in writing. Hi, I'm Molly Nelson here with Chawn Honkomp and Loren Merkle. And of course, today it's all about the written retirement plan. But first, before we talk about the value of the plan and how it works, let's get through some misconceptions, because one of the big ones, Chawn, people think their 401k is their retirement plan.
Yeah, some people, they're going to get those quarterly statements or monthly, annual statements or whatever on those on their investment accounts. And you're looking at that thinking, all right, here's my plan. I know what your balances are doing. You can check the performance. And you feel like maybe that's all you need to be doing at the current stage of life. But there's much more to your stage of life as you get closer and closer to retirement.
Yeah, and a 401k is a good thing. If you have a 401k or some similar employer-sponsored retirement plan, that's a good thing. But let's talk about what it is good for.
It's really good for enabling you to enter a phase of your life where you can live and have fun and not have to work, because you're going to be drawing this money out of this 401k plan. How you take advantage of it is over time. Time is by far your biggest weapon. So you contribute every pay period to your 401k plan. And nowadays you get to decide, does that money go in pre-tax, meaning you don't pay taxes on that money right away, and then it grows tax deferred, and then later down the road when you take it out you pay taxes on it? Or many employers today enable you to contribute after tax, meaning the money you are taxed on it right away, and then it grows tax-free. You take it out later down the road and you don't pay taxes on that growth. So it's really good for enabling you to contribute in an easy fashion towards your retirement that's much later down the road.
Yeah, I think about it being good for accumulation, good for the match if you have an employer match, or the ease, right? The plan is generally managed by someone else, and it's easy to contribute to. But the reality is you get a little bit closer to retirement. The 401k doesn't tell you a lot of things, Chawn. You know what it doesn't tell you? The 401k plan does not tell you when you can retire.
Yeah, the 401k statements and the balances that everybody's saving during their working years, that's just the investment plan. Having a written plan has many more components to it. The focus of our retirement planning process has 6 components to it. The investment part is just the one part of it. So as you get further into this stage of life, everybody knows they've got to start thinking about more. There's going to be new questions and new decisions that everybody's going to encounter as they enter retirement.
Yeah, the 401k doesn't answer questions for you. It doesn't answer when can you retire. It doesn't answer how much you can safely spend each month. It doesn't answer how you're going to create income that lasts. It doesn't answer how taxes and inflation will impact your lifestyle. And you guys have seen this before. Someone could have $700,000 saved and they might feel good, but they don't really know exactly how that $700,000 is going to last them 20 plus years.
And many people start to realize this. But when do you start to realize there's way more to your retirement plan than just your 401k plan? For many people, it's when you're on the doorsteps of retiring and now you're starting to think about all of these decisions that you have to make now that you've never had to make before. How do you take money out of your 401k plan? Oh, by the way, when you take money out of your 401k plan, there is a mandatory federal tax withholding of 20%, which means that's 20% off the top you don't get to spend. It goes to the federal government. A lot of people are surprised by nuances to retirement planning like that. If you're under the age of 59 and a half, but you're over age 55, there's a little known rule to help avoid the 10% penalty, but you have to do that the right way. Otherwise, you could have that 10% penalty. So all of these things we need to consider as we're looking to make that jump.
Okay, so we know what the 401k is good for. We realize it's not a written retirement plan. And I think a lot of people out there's some questions we need to answer for them today. What is a written retirement plan? We'll get to that and the importance of it. But sometimes there's a delay factor that comes in, Chawn. People delay taking action. They're like, I'm saving, I'm putting money in, I'm good. I don't need to do anything else. I'm really busy. I don't need to get to that retirement plan stage just yet.
It's easy to put something like this off. We work all week, we get home on the weekend. Not too many people are thinking about retirement planning. And we hear all the time, we have so many conversations with people that are 55 and older. You share with us all the time how time sneaks up on you. You know, the years go by. You start thinking more about retirement at 55. Maybe you don't take action. Now you wake up and you're 60 and you're wondering where the years went. So this is something that is easy to put off and just continue focusing on the other aspects of your life. It's also something where you don't necessarily know what a retirement plan is. You talked about ease before, Molly, with the 401k plan. It's easy using a 401k plan. You just identify the percentage of money you want to put in, you pick some investment options, and you let it go. Now, as you approach retirement, you get a little bit closer each and every day. You've never thought about what a comprehensive retirement plan entails. You haven't had to make many of these decisions previously. So again, it's easy to put off, and it's something that's new, so it's hard to take that very first step because this is new for almost everybody out there.
Yeah, people get focused on accumulating. They get focused on investments only. You've seen that happen. They also are unsure what the plan is, so we want to cover that today. And for you, you just talked to someone in a Retire Ready call, Chawn, that was going through this exact same thing. They didn't want to stop to think about putting together a plan.
Yeah, I just recently had this Retire Ready call with an individual who had attended our Journey to Retirement workshop just recently, scheduled a Retire Ready call, and his focus where he was is exactly what we're talking about. He's committing his time to his job. He's committing his time to his family, and he even shared with me that he got away from being him. And we had some very direct conversation on, well, what's preventing him from planning? What's going to help him get committed to doing this? And he said even just taking that very first step was really important for him. This is easy for him to ignore. He's very kind of guarded about this. He doesn't necessarily want to. He's a little apprehensive to talk about this with somebody else. So it was a big step for him to take that Retire Ready call. And now we're going to continue moving through our process. We're going to have that connection visit, and we're going to have the opportunity to talk more about what his picture looks like and help him feel better about these retirement decisions that he's thinking about.
And I think often people feel so similar to that because retirement planning is just this really obscure thing that maybe they've heard about, but they really thought it was the 401k and this other stuff. But as they get closer to retirement, they start to realize it's way more. But that way more is scary because it's unknown. And so a lot of people will delay the decision to engage in the retirement planning because it is scary, it's unknown, and how do you get started? How do you actually get started with the plan? And what he highlighted, I think, is what is preventing a lot of people from jumping into retirement planning because it is difficult to determine an easy avenue for you on how to get started.
So we want to take a retirement plan, we want to take it from obscure to clear. We want to make it clear to you what a written retirement plan is, and that's exactly what we'll do next. Welcome back. I'm Molly Nelson here with Chawn Honkomp and Loren Merkle. They're both certified financial planners and certified financial fiduciaries. Chawn is also a CPA. So if you're 55 or older without a written retirement plan, today's show is for you. So one of the things that delays people, we just talked about it, guys, is they don't know what a written retirement plan is. Well, here at Merkle Retirement Planning, a written retirement plan is called a Retire Secure Roadmap.
And we deliver it to all the families and individuals that we serve as the roadmap to helping them make the decisions that they have to make. And there's 6 pillars involved in the Retire Secure Roadmap. The first pillar is the lifestyle. The second is the income. The third is the taxes. The fourth is the investments. Fifth, healthcare. And then the 6th and final pillar is the legacy pillar.
Yeah, and when you deliver it to folks, it's not a map like that. It's not rolled up in the map form. It's actually a kind of a binder, Chawn, that you give to people, and there's different tabs for each one of these pillars, and people really like that because they can go back and reference it. Hey, what were we going to do per month when it came to XYZ investment? So it's something that they can go back to when they need to.
It's comprehensive, and there's a lot of substance to it. It means something to get that written out version of that plan in a nice black Merkle binder that's for your records. This is something you get to take with you as a reference point on what decisions have been made up until this point. What does the plan look like at this point? But then it's got that information on what things are looking like in the future. So we've got a lot of detail that exists in each of the 6 pillars that are part of that Retire Secure Roadmap, along with some additional information beyond that. We're going to look at the COLA information, information on inflation. So it's just that supporting information that is a great reference point for people as they think about retirement or have questions that come up at any given time.
Okay, let's go through it. Let's go through what a written retirement plan can look like. Let's start with that first pillar. And Loren, someone might be saying, what are you writing down in a lifestyle pillar of a retirement plan?
Oh, you're writing down what you want to do in retirement. And I know you have some ideas of what those activities look like because you've probably been thinking about this phase of your life for at least the last few years. When you no longer have to drive to work on Monday morning, what are you going to do? What are you going to do that following week? Where are you going to travel? What are you going to do with the grandkids and the kids? Well, are you going to vacation down south? What does that look like for you? All of that kind of stuff is what you are going to write in the lifestyle plan. And the lifestyle plan pillar is so important, not only to have an outline of what your day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year activities might look like, but that's going to determine how much your retirement is going to cost you. And that's what the other 5 pillars of this plan are going to enable you to do, is determine how can you afford this lifestyle dream that you have, afford the dream not only at point of retirement, but also 5 years in, 10, 20, 30 years down the road, and be able to enjoy those activities with confidence, knowing or having a high level of probability that you're not going to run out of money before you run out of time.
Okay, let's go to the next piece of the binder, the income piece of the binder. What's written in that part?
The income is going to reflect these goals that you just talked about, Loren, that people are going to try to build this plan. You want to know what retirement is going to look like, what that vision is, and then it's a matter of what is that going to cost somebody. So we need to have this detailed income plan. It starts first with identifying exactly what a typical month is going to look like for you. We've got to start thinking about these different expense categories, make sure we're thinking about everything. There's expenses on a typical month, but then there's some expenses we all have that maybe we pay less often than monthly. So once a year, twice a year, whatever. We've got to start thinking about all of that. So we identify what somebody's need is, and then it's a matter of how do we cover that need? Where do we obtain the funds to help cover that need and provide you with the cash flow you need on a monthly basis? We're going to have some guaranteed sources. Almost everybody has Social Security. Some people have pensions. When are we going to start those guaranteed sources? And then we need to identify distributions from the balances that people have. We want to help you take the right distributions from the right accounts at the best time to develop your income plan.
And do you have enough resources to fund the lifestyle that you've been thinking about? And if you can answer that question prior to going into retirement, that's going to give you so much more confidence and such a higher degree level of certainty, because you're going to come up with one of two answers. You have enough resources to live the lifestyle you want to, or you don't. And if you don't, now you can have time on your side to implement strategies to enhance, strengthen the financial elements of your plan to make sure that you can have the lifestyle that you want to. There's so much value that comes from that income plan, even down to Social Security optimization. If you're a married couple, you might have up to 81 different options with Social Security alone. Which options are right for you? Which options are right if you're married and your spouse passes away? How does that impact you down the road? All that kind of stuff. And this goes back to the value of it written, because you can see it in front of you and you can see what happens if, and that's just going to add to all the certainty that can go into your retirement decisions.
And a conversation that makes us laugh a lot of times, it's not uncommon to get the question from you, well, can I get my money? How do I get my money? This is something we're doing every day, but for you, it's new to take those distributions out of those balances. You're used to the paycheck. Well, now you've got to take distributions. That's something our team handles for everybody. We identify the amount that we need, the timing, we think about the taxes, and we send that money right to your bank account. So it's funny sometimes that people wonder how and if they can even get to their money.
But if you've never done it before, how do you know?
Yeah. So there's a lot of logistics in the income portion of a written retirement plan. Let's move on now to the tax plan. What do you guys do when you write down a tax plan for people?
Well, we know almost everybody's going to have a retirement tax bill. The question is how big is that retirement tax bill going to be? And are there steps that you can take to improve, decrease, lessen the burden of that retirement tax bill? And the answer to those questions for most people is yes, there are steps that you can take. So what we do in the tax plan is we outline, if you were just to retire, take income from your portfolio, here's what your retirement tax bill could look like if we extrapolate that over 20 to 30 year retirement time horizon. And then if you take these steps, if you implement tax strategies like tax loss harvesting or Roth conversions or any of the other tax strategies that can be applicable, how much can you decrease that retirement tax bill? And then we spell it out in a timeline. Year one of your retirement, or maybe even prior to going to retirement, here's specifically the tax strategies that makes sense for you. Here's how you implement that. Here's the short-term, long-term impact. Year one, year two in retirement, and we keep going. And then what that does is it sets that tax strategy roadmap for you initially, and then each and every year we review that. Does it still make sense for this year? Does it still make sense for this year? And we continue to rewrite that tax plan each and every year throughout the course of retirement.
And a big focal point of the taxes is control. We're talking about control. We're emphasizing control so much as we help you see that long-term tax plan. Most people feel like they're just going to go about their way. They're going to take their money out. And if so, then ultimately what you're doing is you're paying taxes on the IRS's schedule. They're not reaching out to anybody trying to help them minimize their tax bill. We want to help you be very intentional. Let's utilize all the control that we have to lessen that tax bill over time.
There are 3 more pillars in a written retirement plan. We'll cover those next. Welcome back to Retiring Today. I'm Molly Nelson here with Chawn Honkomp and Loren Merkle, and we're talking about a written retirement plan, giving you detail about what exactly is in a written retirement plan. So the next pillar on our Retire Secure roadmap is investments. What's in a written investment plan?
The investment plan should have everything that you need to confidently structure an investment portfolio that is going to look different than the investment portfolio that you have always had most of the time. And the reason why is because your objectives now, your goals now are way different than what they ever have. One of the number one fears of many people going through retirement is the markets and the erosion of your portfolio when the markets go down. We see market corrections and bear markets on a consistent basis. That's not going to change once you retire. What is going to change is how you feel about it, because when you were working, it didn't concern you as much as when you're not working and you're taking money. Your lifestyle is dependent upon the performance of your portfolio. And the markets drop by 30 and your portfolio drops by 30. Now, if you don't structure an investment plan the right way, your lifestyle could also drop by 30%, and that's for 1 year. It also really hurts the odds that your portfolio is going to be there 10, 15, 20 years down the road as well. So what should be included in your investment portfolio or in your investment plan is how to avoid that. How do you take income from your investments no matter what happens to the market, and you don't have to worry about running out of money before you run out of time? How much risk should you be taking? Not only now, but also 5, 10 years down the road. And how do you make all of those adjustments to make sure everything that we just talked about can be accounted for within this one piece of your overall plan?
And after going through our process, we get feedback. We hear from the families and individuals we're working with so much that this feels like more information. You're able to see that you have more information around your total portfolio than you've ever had previously up until this point. And I think really what you touched on, Loren, we want to help people be more informed about the decisions, feel like you know exactly what level of risk, what types of investments, so that you feel good about the overall design and decisions you're making. There are different strategies that fit people at 55 and beyond that you probably didn't need when you were younger because of the time frame. So let's make good decisions. Let's try to manage that portfolio, be intentional about the level of risk, and let's get the most out of that portfolio during retirement.
Well, you were just telling us, you just had a visit recently with a family but we've been working with for a while, and they told you, didn't they say, Chawn, we don't even really worry about the markets because they've gotten this plan written down for when the markets are down.
We've been working with this couple for a few years now, and they've shared that exact comment back with me more than once at their annual review or just whenever we've had touch points with them, that they tell me, hey, Chawn, we have a plan. We don't worry about the markets whatsoever. And that's a tremendous feeling from our standpoint. I mean, we're always going to care about the markets. We're always tracking it. We're still going to make the best decisions possible. But for a couple to know that they've transitioned, it's that mindset shift about just worrying about the money to now seeing the bigger picture and having that plan. That feels really good for us because we have way more control over the overall plan than we do on the market activity and the market volatility. We can be intentional about how much we're going to participate in the markets, but we certainly can't control the timing and the direction of what the markets are going to do.
Let's talk about the next aspect of a written retirement plan, and it's healthcare. What's written down there?
It's one of the top concerns of most people today because of the cost of healthcare. And if you're going to retire at 55 or certainly prior to age 65, your concerns are going to be different than concerns if you retire 65 or beyond, because then you're going to have Medicare eligibility. So your healthcare plan needs to reflect the phase of life that you are in, pre-Medicare, post-Medicare. And the nuances of that healthcare plan are going to be as such. If you're pre-Medicare, how much is your healthcare going to cost you? Do you go to the open market? Do you use some subsidized options if subsidized options are available? Once you're past Medicare age, what does that look like? Not only at age 65, but the thing about Medicare is you can make changes each and every year. So what does it look like at age 66, age 67? And the two biggest things you're concerned about is what is the cost, and then what is the type of care that you're going to receive? Because the cost and care for most people is going to look different than the cost and care while you're working. And your healthcare plan needs to reflect those items, not only at point of retirement, but as things evolve as well.
What's written in the legacy portion of a Retire Secure roadmap?
The legacy part of the plan is going to have those goals of ultimately what you want things to look like with any of the assets that you leave behind. This is money that people value. They've worked hard. They've got most people beneficiaries, whether it's direct children or if you've got siblings, charities, whatever the case might be. You want to have your legacy plan developed, and then you want to have it written down, and then you want to make sure you've got it correct on the right papers, meaning beneficiary forms on any investment accounts. Make sure you've got the forms on your bank accounts, and then make sure whether it's a will or a trust or whatever a certain situation might look like, make sure it's the right words on the right pieces of paper to put you in the best spot possible so that your assets transition in the most efficient manner to the people they care about.
And part of the conversations that we have with that is, what do those documents do for you? What do the powers, the financial power of attorney do for you? Do you need one? If so, how do you construct it? What does the healthcare power of attorney do for you? What does the will do for you? Most people probably have a will. You might have a will, but you may not have updated that will for the last couple decades. Do you need to? How should that new will be reflected within your overall plan? And do you need a trust? What does a trust do? What does a trust not do? All of those are conversations that we have prior to writing that legacy pillar of the plan, because you need answers to those questions. And then once we have the answers to those questions, that's when it gets laid out on paper as a part of that pillar of your overall plan.
And I like that you said answers questions, because it is a plan, but you think it can also be viewed as a projection. So it can project where you could be. And I think with the guy, I want to go back to the Retire Ready call, because I think one of his fears was, do I have enough to retire? If you start writing some of this down, you can find out that news sooner rather than later, and then make adjustments so that when he is ready to retire, he's in a better position.
Yeah, I touched on that before, but how he was hesitant to get started, but ultimately what he was looking for wasn't enjoying his job, wants to be done with it, but his biggest uncertainty was, can he retire and just be done? Or does he need to retire from where he's at and still work? He knows what he has saved. He knows how old he is. You know, he was younger than 65. He knows he's got to figure out healthcare, but these are all just those individual pieces out there. He has not seen that comprehensive view, and he isn't sure. He doesn't know if he can comfortably retire and be done, or if he needs to have a few more years of working. And the process that we're going to be able to take them through, it's such a process, like he touched on, Miley. This helps add so much value and clarity to people that I know he's going to feel better as we have a few more touch points and share more information.
And the one thing he knows is that life is always changing. Life is always changing, and so the Retire Secure roadmap, our roadmap, needs to change with that life to offer the perspectives and the strategies that are necessary as one's life does change.
Yeah, and it's a process that is worth the time. You often get the feedback that was easier than I thought it was going to be. It was worth the time, scheduling a visit, maybe 2 visits, depending on everyone's situation, but it's a little bit of time for a lot of reward.
And another great comment we always hear is, I wish we would have met you sooner. You know, I just heard it just recently on another Retire Ready call. Where were you guys? I wish you'd have seen it 3 years ago, 5 years ago. So get started sooner than later.
You can get started now by scheduling a Retire Ready call. Go to retirereadycall.com. When you get there, there'll be a calendar. You can choose a time and a date that works for you, and then have a conversation with a retirement planner about your situation, your questions, and your concerns. This is Retiring Today, and we thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click here for more great content from our team. Don't forget to subscribe to continue to receive helpful information for your retirement planning.